The legends know the game better than anyone else, but while some of their opinions might be a little flawed at times, there are plenty of lessons to be learned. From the good to the bad and the ugly, here's what tennis legends think about Carlos Alcaraz. The 20-year-old defeated Novak Djokovic at the Wimbledon final, and quite frankly, it's been the biggest news of the year in tennis. But even before then, American former world number 1 and 7-time major winner John McEnroe already saw Carlitos as the perfect player. As one of the analysts at Eurosports, McEnroe called Alcaraz a complete player, grading his forehand and all the other qualities as A+. McEnroe gave Alcaraz's backhand a B+ score. I can imagine what kind of school teacher John McEnroe would be with these grades he's dishing out. McEnroe said that the 20-year-old was already more complete than other legends such as Pete Sampras and Boris Becker. He also said that Pete's backhand was weaker and that Becker probably didn't move as well as some of the other guys. Do you think that's a stretch from McEnroe? The American has also complimented Carlitos for his ability to handle expectations and sees him as the best replacement for the big three.
This guy Alcaraz is electric.
Is that the next one?
Oh, without a question. This guy's amazing. I mean, if he stays healthy, I mean, it's like...
He looks so powerful.
I've never seen a guy, he's probably a half inch bigger than me, maybe 6 feet, half an inch.
Yeah.
That can do everything at that age, at 19.
Andre Agassi's opinion wasn't so much different. Hours after his daughter praised the Spaniard for defeating Djokovic at Wimbledon, the American tennis legend followed suit. Agassi, who won Wimbledon in 1992, took to his IG story and praised Alcaraz for his spellbinding performance. Agassi wrote, "Getting across the finish line at one of the 4 pillars of our sport demands something unique unto itself. Something Novak knows over and over at each. Congratulations, Carlos, on the second of 4. You are a pleasure to watch." Man, those were some classy words from Djokovic's former coach, who himself completed the career Grand Slam. Well, Jimmy Connors has his reservations about Alcaraz. The American former world number 1 won 8 majors, held the top spot for 268 weeks, and still holds the all-time men's record for ATP titles at 109 in a career that spanned 24 years. Connors doesn't believe that Alcaraz has the same longevity potential in him. According to Connors, the explosiveness of Alcaraz's game and the amount of power he expends on each ball might be incompatible with longevity. The American says that if Carlos doesn't change his way of understanding the game, then he's in serious trouble, as he might get injured more frequently. Many of us still remember what happened to Carlos at Roland Garros. This is the stage where you have to use your youth to take advantage and be healthy, but it puts too much pressure on your body, Connors said in his podcast. The way he moves and goes to every ball makes me wonder how he will be in a few years physically. Connors' claims were further substantiated when Carlitos cramped against Novak at Roland Garros, and Connors labeled the situation unacceptable. Good thing Carlos learned his lessons ahead of Wimbledon and stayed healthy. All these do not change the fact that Connors still thinks Alcaraz is the best player in the world after the big 3. Speaking on his Advantage Connors podcast, the 70-year-old praised Alcaraz after watching him win the Indian Wells tournament earlier this year. For Connors, it all comes down to Carlitos' exceptional determination and desire to be the best. He also feels like Alcaraz, in contrast to his peers, is way more mature. While Jimmy Connors seems to have a rather balanced view of Alcaraz, other tennis legends hold nothing back. Boris Becker, in an interview, recently compared the 20-year-old Spaniard to the big 3. As a 6-time major winner and former world number 1 himself, Boris Becker feels like the Wimbledon winner has got the same skills and capability to outperform the big 3. Personally, I'm a fan of Alcaraz, but I feel like there might be some recency bias in that statement. The impact of Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal on the sport cannot be overstated. Their popularity extends beyond on-court accomplishments, as they've inspired millions of people all over the world. And we have Carlos, who just won his 2nd major and 1st Wimbledon title. In his exclusive interview with Eurosport, Becker agreed that we would probably never see such trio of Roger, Rafa, and Novak again, but he sees Carlitos taking over the scepter, stating that the world would be grateful to have seen such a likable, refreshing, almost innocent-looking young player from Spain who plays tennis as if it were the most natural thing in the world. As a superfan, your opinion also matters. What do you think of the comparisons? Boris also stated that the fact that the 20-year-old Carlos won against the most successful of all time, and not just anyone, is a testament of his future GOAT repertoire. As you would expect, Alcaraz isn't completely buying it. He still feels that he has a long way to go, and the fact that Novak continues to play means that the changing of the guard isn't yet set in stone. But no doubt, we'll still be talking about Wimbledon 2023 in the next decade. A few months back, Carlitos marked his 150th singles match with a win against Karen Khachanov at the quarterfinals of the Madrid Masters in what was his last match as a teenager. In those 150 matches, Alcaraz won 117 and lost 33, bringing his win win rate to 78%. Only few other legends can boast of something similar. Pete Sampras had 77.4%, Agassi had 76%, Becker had 76.9%, Stefan Edberg 74.8%, Andy Murray 75.2%. Even the great Roger Federer was only 87.63 and could boast of only a 58% win rate after his first 150 games. Djokovic's was a decent 70%, while Nadal made it to 74.7%. This points to the fact that Alcaraz has had a better start to his career than many of the other greats, and it could be one of the reasons why some ATP legends already consider him more talented than others. Former world number 1 Chris Evert won 18 slams on the WTA Tour, and she also has been stunned by the Spaniard's ability. Evert equally agrees that Carlitos has no weaknesses. He ticks all the boxes: forehand, backhand, volleys, net play, overheads, lobs, lateral movement, serve. What else? Here's what Evert said: "I don't know how he can improve anymore. The beauty of his game is that he has no weaknesses whatsoever for any of his opponents to have a chance unless he's having a bad day." Evert also explained that while other top tennis legends were brilliant in their heyday, they all had some sort of weakness in their game or a really big weapon to rely on, but it's totally different for the Spaniard. Carlos is easily the best of the new bunch of ATP players, both offensively and defensively. She also talked about the Spaniard's movement, mentality, adaptability, and confidence before going on to predict his multiple major winning potential this year. Here's the full gist of what Evert said.
I'm in awe when I watch him. I'm flabbergasted. I'm just in disbelief as to the gaps, how well he moves, how he improvises and adapts to certain situations, how flexible his tool set. I think we're seeing a new level, a higher level of tennis. You always think you've seen the greatest, with Roger and Rafa and Novak, but every decade it just seems like there appears a player that is at even a higher level than the former champion. So I think this is going to be one of those decades, and I think he will bring the level up of Sinner and Taylor Fritz and Medvedev and the players that are going to be the new leaders in the men's game.
At this point, we can't deny that Carlitos was born to be a champion. I kind of feel like if he doesn't go overboard with his intensity and stays the course while carrying the momentum we just saw at Wimbledon, he might very well finish this year at the top of the pile for the second year in a row. I mean, this dude knows every shot in the book and has proven that he can win virtually any tournament on any surface. Mats Wilander is one of those ATP legends who often finds himself having polarizing views about players. I still remember when he called Djokovic the boat instead of the GOAT. Anyways, here's what the Swedish former world number 1 and Eurosports analyst has to say about Alcaraz this time.
Well, I think we've seen enough from Carlos Alcaraz during these championships that tells us that he, first of all, is a very quick learner. He adjusted to the most difficult surface that we have in our sport. He adjusted very quickly. It took him 3 weeks, basically, and with each match here, he got better and better. He changed his style a little bit along the way, started hitting a few more slice backhands, wasn't quite as aggressive, didn't have as many unforced errors in the later few rounds. So with all that, and plus the physicality of this finals now shows us that what happened in Paris in the semis was a coincidence, and it was bad luck. It was mostly some stress and anxiety, but also excitement to play Novak. So I think he learned so much. He's a quick learner. There's no telling. I mean, you never know physically if he's going to get injured, but if he's healthy and he plays this kind of tennis, he's only going to get better. And I put him down to somewhere between 10 and 15. I think is realistic. But even if he ends up on 5 or 6, he's too important for our sport to be counting numbers already.
But Justine Henin already knew about Alcaraz's potential more than a year ago. You see, after the Spaniard beat Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic and Alexander Zverev to win the 2022 Madrid Masters, Justine Henin said that the Murcian native was already the best in the world. For those of you who do not know Henin, she remains one of the greatest in women's tennis history. 7 majors, 117 weeks at the top of the rankings, 43 titles in her career. The Belgian possessed one of the best one-handed backhands ever seen on the WTA Tour. Her volleys were also exceptional, and her game was essentially complete, so it's quite an honor for Carlos to receive a lot of praise from her. And even went as far as saying, at the game level, Carlos Alcaraz, it seems to me, is more complete than Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, or Novak Djokovic. I think it's a good mix of all three. He shows incredible maturity. His learning speed is also incredible. Day by day, you see that his tennis is evolving. He is progressing rapidly. To think that she made this statement last year, even before Carlitos won his first major, tells you that talent recognizes talent from afar. Carlitos seems to have a rather hypnotic brand of tennis, which is fueled by his innate competitive drive, and it's definitely why these tennis greats have a lot of positive things to say about him. But while everyone is attributing Carlitos' success to his talents, one tennis legend prefers to pin it down on the Spaniard's team. After all, those magnificent forehand and backhand swings didn't come out of the blue. Ivan Lendl has showered showered praise on the current world number one's team, the Czech American, who was on top of the rankings for 270 weeks and won 94 singles titles, including 8 majors, believes that Alcaraz hasn't peaked yet and still has a lot of room for improvement. But he also said this: "I know Carlos Alcaraz is coached very well. He has a great team around him. Those guys are very, very good at what they do. The Spaniards, and Juan Carlos Ferrero is fantastic. And they're teaching him well. They're teaching him the right things. They're teaching him all the protocols. He's an extremely polite young man. He's great. The Spanish guys do something very good. The French guys do that as well. They retain their former pros and plug them into the programs. Basically, Lendl sees Alcaraz as the product of a system that has been in place for decades. Maybe American tennis needs to take a leaf from the books of Spain, Czech Republic, and some of these really successful European countries in tennis." Tony Nadal, who is Rafa's uncle, is one of the all-time great tennis coaches, having mentored Rafael from his debut in 2005 until 2017, a period that saw Nadal win virtually everything in the sport. Uncle Tony is well aware that Carlos Alcaraz is the present and future of tennis. But in addition to that, Tony feels that besides Djokovic, none of the other players can stop his rise or come close to edging him out on the court. "Honestly, I don't see any tennis player on the current scene, with the exception of Djokovic, capable of stopping Carlos' unstoppable rise," Nadal wrote. "Djokovic does not have many years left, and I think that Spanish fans will have the opportunity to enjoy many more matches and celebrate many more victories on both hot and cold Sunday afternoons. Yeah, we are truly in for an all-court battle, and we still have the US Open and year-end championships as some of the biggest events to look forward to. Who do you think will have the edge this time if both players meet on hard court? I still kind of think it's Nole. If anything, his Wimbledon loss would further motivate him to come up with solution to Alcaraz's game. No doubt, it would be an interesting matchup to conclude the season." Another legend on our list has high expectations from Carlos Alcaraz. 11-time Grand Slam champion Bjorn Borg was number 1 for 109 weeks, and he believes that Alcaraz can top the rankings for even longer than himself. Borg believes that Alcaraz will be the leader of men's tennis for many years to come if he doesn't get injured. "I couldn't agree more with the Swede." He says, "The way he plays, the way he moves, I like the whole game. No weaknesses. To watch this guy play is unbelievable. I'm very impressed." Alright, enough of this sweet words. Let's see some contrary views. Someone thinks that Alcaraz is weak. Want to take a guess on who that player is? Nikolay Davydenko, Russian former world number 3 not too long ago, called Alcaraz and the new generation weak in terms of their physicality and understandings of the game. This statement came at the end of the 2022 campaign. Davydenko, who won the 2009 ATP World Tour Finals and had his share of successes against the Big Three, was disappointed to see Alcaraz not participate in the event due to injury. In his interview, the Russian said, "It turns out that young players are so weak because I also played with Nadal and then he won everything. And now there are young, physically strong drummers and he still beats them. It turns out that the tennis of that generation is still stronger than the current one." The retired world number 3 said was disappointed to see new gen players getting injured and pulling out of tournaments frequently. Speaking of Alcaraz, he said, "Getting hurt at such a young age, at 20, you only have to lift yourself and not get injured. He won the US Open and after that he recovers. Federer has never had anything like this, that he won the US Open and then missed the final. All the strongest in the world play the final. They are ready to play until the end of the season. And then he took off. Well, that's funny." Despite recognizing the Spaniard's talent, Davydenko also threw question marks on Carlitos' 2022 season due to the absence of Djokovic for half the season. Looking back at that statement, I'm pretty sure Davydenko would be regretting those words now, because not only has Alcaraz replicated the results of last year, he also beat Novak at Wimbledon. Of course, this just wouldn't be complete without acknowledging the big boys and their thoughts about Carlos. Two-time Wimbledon champion Murray always knew that Carlos would be the best. After beating a 38th ranked Alcaraz in the 2021 Indian Wells, Murray said that he didn't see many flaws from Alcaraz. The Brit hopes that Carlos stays free from injuries and maintains his style of play because it's exciting to watch. However, he has warned people not to overburden the Spaniard with the pressure of matching the Grand Slam tallies at the Big Three, which is exactly what Federer echoed. In an interview with Subaka, the Swiss maestro was taken aback but chose to play it safe when Carlos' coach compared him to the Big Three. Roger said that it was a compliment and a lot to live up to at such a young age. Federer then said, "I always don't like to put too much pressure on younger players, especially like, he's going to do this. But he's the type of player who says, well, I'm coming to Wimbledon, I'm coming to win. I'm coming to Paris, I'm coming to win." Being an extremely fast learner, Carlitos binge-watched clips of Murray, Roger, and Nole to help his game on grass tournaments, and it yielded excellent results. For Rafael Nadal, here is a summary of what he thinks of Carlitos.
I think he's unstoppable in terms of his career. He has all the ingredients. He has the passion. He has he's humble enough to work hard. He's a good guy.
Nadal wished his compatriot good luck before the Wimbledon final and was one of the first to congratulate him after his win. And then we have Novak Djokovic, who had some classy words for Alcaraz and stated that he had never seen a player like Carlos and that he was a mix of the Big Three. The comparison has been overwhelming as of now, but you only have to take a look at this point to see element of the big four in Alcaraz. First, he pounds the ball from the baseline with forehand and backhand game like Nadal and Djokovic. Then he comes to the net and volleys like Roger Federer before backtracking to win the point with the trademark Murray lob. 2003 Roland Garros champion and former world number 1 Juan Carlos Ferrero doesn't like comparing his protege with the big 3 or 4, particularly that of Nadal because his nationality and early bloom. Ferrero believes that Carlos hearing that he is the new Nadal or Federer all the time puts a lot of pressure on him. However, the tennis coach admits to taking the best examples of these legends to help Alcaraz improve his game. Roger Federer's shot-making and elegance, Nadal's explosiveness, Novak's mentality and so on. The coach isn't totally worried though, because Alcaraz thinks big, and Coach Ferrero says that while he doesn't know if Carlos can win 22 Grand Slam titles or more, he knows that Carlos Alcaraz is going to do great things for the sport and that they are both ready to take on the pressure. But here's what I think. Carlos winning Wimbledon with little experience on the surface and under such circumstances showed that he has truly come of age. The boy has become the man, and from now on he'll be considered in that light. He has to make the most of his time at the top, because a time will come when fans will be cheering on a new blood to defeat him, just the way it happened against Novak Djokovic. Yep, that's the cycle of life. So what do you think? We've seen Carlos versus Novak on clay and grass. We are moving on to hard courts. Who gets the prize this time? It all comes down to this. There's no escape from Carlos Alcaraz. He is certified box office. Like an Oscar-sweeping movie. Currently, the kid from Spain who wore a bucket hat at Wimbledon is simply the greatest watch in the tennis world. And if you want to see more videos about Carlitos, check out these videos above.